Join us as James asks the rest of the Venture into Vimuros cast about real events that transpired in our fictional role-playing game. Every triumph, every mishap, every moment that they felt like asking about will be unveiled in this video. This is History Check, a show by Ampersandbox, where we have decided a discussion is better than a recap.
I will say Zanog's biggest gripe is he has been robbed of the most valuable resource, and that is time.
Yeah.
So like that is like his main driver in his life of like I have to make up for
You were
lost
in prison
time.
for like 20 years as an orc?
Yeah, as an orc, it was like essentially half his life.
Yeah.
And the crime is usually punishable with like way longer year. I think in the first set it's like 200 years, and then like his teacher that found him doing the illegal experiments is like, y'all, he's an orc. He's not like an elf like the rest of us. Like he's gonna rot in there if you put it. Like don't do that. And then like okay, we'll lessen the sentence. Like,
Yeah. The length of your punishment should be a ratio of your lifespan.
right, not just a set year. But yeah, that's his biggest thing. Is like it's a constant like I'm running out of time. I am running out of time, and I've still gotten nowhere. This is my life's work, and what do I have to show for it? And it's just constantly.
Well, I feel like that also comes up a lot with Zanog, like when you had to like get Josiah healed and you're running out of time. You know when we're going for Bavnik, and we're running out of time, but we're doing it in a very roundabout way, like running out of time, and even with Idris, like not knowing like you ran out of time, but like in a different way.
Yeah, that's just like a common thing in his life, I guess, or it's just like constantly being robbed of time. If that's what it feels like.
I know I'm not the host here, but that drives a question for me. Is if Zanog's like main driver or one of his main drivers is time and time usage, why is he out adventuring right now instead of hitting the books again?
There's only like the books will only take you so far, especially in the world where necromancy is buried. Like, what am I gonna read in the library about necromancy? Nothing.
Yeah.
Well,
So like I'm gonna have to go out there and find it.
Now that you've heard of Ogratis, you got it.
Right. There's a lead. There's a lead, and we've seen these high level curses or whatever, right? Like the Maw people and the guy who was essentially he was not dead and then he died and turned into something. So it was like a latent activation. Like all these things that are like the sky's the limit with all this stuff, and like I know nothing.
Yeah.
I'm that's why I'm always like he's vexing me at every turn. We have gone across the country, and here he is mocking me still. Like I don't know what to do anymore. Like
Nice. Yeah. Nice. So the way I'm looking at that answer to the question was it's really theoretical knowledge versus practical knowledge.
right, like he's exhausted the theoretical. He's read all the books. He has to make some of the books,
Right.
and that's only gotten him this far. So now like he's out there looking for more.
Nice.
I
Okay.
think
Nice.
that also
And
goes-
so far, breadcrumbs have been like it's been successful, right? He's running into Maw people,
That's excellent.
which at some point would lead you to an even bigger fish, right? So like it's gonna be
That's
a thing, hopefully.
Well, I
It's
think that also
satisfying
goes
to
to
me.
your character's backstory. Like in your backstory, like your dad's character is like you got to go out there and do it. You can't just like sit around and read.
Right? Yeah.
And that's what I find fun because I listen. I don't know how often you all listen to your own episodes, but like I listen to them constantly because I'm like either pulling notes from or whatever YouTube things, and like seeing that come back up almost like now you're the adult. Maybe this is where the inner Bex comes out. It's like now you as the adult, you are going out and you're driving your own force. You can't just sit, and you get that from like your dad's character. We know nothing really about your mom's character, or not much about your mom's character, besides like 5-minute interaction. But
yeah, I mean,
he's still alive.
Truly, neither does Zanog, right? Like at the time of him leaving or being forced out that was the last he ever spoke to his parents. Is they put him on the wagon to wizard school, and he got arrested in wizard school. So like nothing after like he got out, they were gone. He just figured like, oh, I still retain a citizenship. That means they're probably dead. That's how the laws work. Whatever. Like, wipe your hands on it. I got some spells to make. You know what I mean? Like, and he got right into it. Now to learn that his father seemingly went mad and killed everybody in the village he grew up in, and mom might still be alive, just gave up her citizenship and went to the Outlands. Like, it's a whole can of worms we're about to open up.
Yeah, what does your mom know? Like, how did she survive? That's gonna be
right. Yeah, like
yeah.
So
to cut you off, sorry. Zanog's mom pushed for him to be able to go to the wizard school. So what does she know?
Right.
You know, does she have something buried in there? You know what I mean? Some family.
Yeah, Dad was just like, I'm ready to shun him right now. Let's get him out of here. And she's like, wait, like, let's not do that. Let's put him on the wagon to wizard school.
Put him on the magic school bus.
Right.
Is this the magic school bus?
It was the magic school bus.
Magic school bus. I mean, magic school bus. Magic school bus. Magic school bus.
It kind of goes into a mixture of like Zanog's background and then also world building questions. You let us know that like sorcerers were like a no-go, right?
Right.
When building characters.
Yes, they have a place in the world that is not accessible right now.
Yeah. So with that, like in some games I've played, DMs are very much like magic can be genetically not accessible to certain people.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's just like, if both your parents don't know magic, you know, Harry Potter style.
Right, yeah.
Both your parents are muggles, then you will be a muggle. Unless you're Hermione for some reason. And that's where
genetics work.
Yeah, it's not at all. But that's one of the things I had with like I'm like my own fan theory is like Zanog's mom is like a wizard or something. Like she's where the magic comes in. Like it's not just Zanog knowing or wanting to go to wizard school, but she's the one who like pushed him to read and pushed him to do certain things. So I'm like, is she like a sorcerer or wizard or warlock or something?
I truly do not know. I like 100% no clue.
I've got Stacy's mom in my head, but it's Zanog's mom. Got it going on, just over and over right now.
But yeah, so because the Gnomerite person we ran into was a sorcerer, like,
Right.
And you say that it's inaccessible. Is it geographically inaccessible, or like why don't we see other sorcerers in other locations? If you can share.
I can't. I want to so bad.
I'm gonna reach through this mic and strangle you. Give me the answers.
I can't tell you. I suppose I could tell you that it's illegal, but the general public would not know it's illegal because they don't know it exists.
Oh, see, that's good to know.
It's kind of the same thing with necromancy. Like the public, it's such a long forgotten thing that I feel like only a certain few, only like the people who live multiple centuries would be like, oh yeah, that's the reason. It's not necessarily on the forefront of most generations' head. That's like, oh, sorcery is illegal or necromancy is illegal.
And even then, we haven't ran into many multi-generational like characters yet. Like we haven't ran into many like elves that would have lived like a millennia. You know what I mean? We haven't ran into any elves or any characters like that would have been around at like the founding. You know what I mean? Because it's Vimuros is 5,000 years, right? So that's what our thing is.
That's what, oral tradition dictates 5,000, but that could be misleading.
But we haven't ran into any like characters like that yet that live that long, at least not to our knowledge yet. You know, like everyone that we've ran into is like maybe a little older than Josiah, like a couple hundred years maybe.
There's the one exception of Zanog's teacher.
Yeah.
That's really all that comes to mind.
But like as a party, we haven't ran into him yet.
That's correct.
The only one that I had that I thought would be fun is like after we have season 2 done or whatever, or it's like a goal. What are goals that you'd want for Venture into Vimuros? Like, not necessarily like a full campaign book, but like setting handouts. I don't know what kind of other content did you want to put out there?
I don't know. The lore is pretty deep. which I can't say is intentional, but it fits. It feels necessary to me that the lore needs to be what it is, especially since it is a homebrew campaign. Like, I don't want to be like, here's a map, good luck. I don't know. That's a hard question to answer because there's a lot. I was working on World Anvil when I first started the setting to try to organize my thoughts, and I haven't touched that pretty much since the campaign started. It's such a fluid production because I really want the players' input to shape the world. I have, like, here's my starting point. It really is a group effort that it's evolving, and stuff's still happening behind the scenes, which I my long drives to work, I'm just like, oh, this is what's currently happening on the other side of the world. Like, it's not that important to the story now, but like, it'll come up.
That's what makes it fun, though, is I feel like you have your plot points and you have your like outlying ideas, but like we're really the main vehicle as to what happens, and I think that's part of the, like, having scars on the world, like things that happen because of our influence, makes it all feel so much better and more real. And so, like, you're not really gonna know that, like, you're not gonna know what we're gonna do before we play it. Right. So, like, having that almost be open-ended in that sense of, like, you know where you need to be and how to get there, but letting us kind of chaos our way through, like, really will help the world feel better in the long run. You can revisit things that we did, right? Like the scorched, like the big, like the tree walking across east, like that's just gonna cause a ravine in the forest, and like it'll kind of be trampled
and
for
it's
however long.
The one tree that's growing still, because the tree had that replanted or rebooted. Yeah.
Right, or like the fire pit that we left, right between the blight and the circle of fire, like that's gonna leave a burn mark. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna be quite like clear there. Stuff like that, where it's just like, okay.
Well, and also, like, whatever Thesu does with those Ioun stones.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like, does that whole place just turn into fungus forest? Because, like, we've just essentially enabled a warlord to do whatever, because he's got 3 Ioun stones.
They seem nice.
I mean,
they're adorable.
I'm sure all warlords seem nice up front, but, like...
I will drain your blood from your body. And
right, yeah, like
youngest children.
The wording that was used for Thesu was like, I protect the life of the forest. Yeah. And that means murdering anybody that does any harm. So, like, does a lumber company come through and they get wiped out by a bunch of rabid mushrooms?
They would.
Right? Like,
all I'm saying is I tried to fight for this line of thought and this line of logic here when we talked to them, and I was assured that they are very nice, peaceful creatures.
Peaceful. I feel like peaceful until a point, though, right? If they're the guardians of the forest, then like guardians is the first word in the title. So like,
so
they're gonna get their little mushroom nubs dirty. Like,
100% agree, but like, we also couldn't talk them into actually trying to defend the forest with us. They're like, no, we've given you some power. Go be heroes. You have a mushroom army. Come help us out. Right. A lot of little tiny things can beat up one big thing. They could take care of the spiders while we're fighting the other thing.
I could see that plot armor a mile away. But, you know,
I'm just saying.
Right.
I do want to jump back to James's question. I guess I don't understand the question.
So, like, what is the, like, we write so much lore. Like, Yidris's whole Terry background, the little bits that I've done, you know, on the side for like Josiah's background, and the little bits I do on Zanog's background. Like, what is there eventually like an end goal to like put out a published work?
Not necessarily. My motivation is for it to be engaging and fun. I want it to feel like a living world. I don't want it to feel like a board game, like here's the start, here's the middle, here's the finish. I want it to feel like a living world that we interact with every week. I want it to be engaging for, first of all, the players, and then any viewers that come after.
We have had talks about eventually, and maybe at the end of Vimuros, at least this iteration of Vimuros, doing a campaign setting. I think right now, if I'm going to give the business answer, right now it is beyond us to put together a full campaign setting with a start, middle, and end in a proper way. However, it is something that we very early on talked about as we first started getting into this world because of how much, to your point, all of us love writing in this world and love creating in this world. You know, like I wrote a 50-page backstory for one character. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah, I read it.
And even like Zanog's got a really deep backstory as well that gives Xylea a lot of rich history. You know, and then we've got the actual setting. Like Josh jokes, he has a book that has has everything in there. You know what I mean? But condensing that down in a way that's digestible for first off the DM and then digestible for the player, because you would need to do the DM's guide and the player's handbook. You know what I mean? Like for the setting, we're just not there yet.
Well, that was History Check. If you enjoyed our questions and interview, make sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell. Over here is something that YouTube will tell you to like, and over here is something that we'll tell you to like. And remember, hang loose.
Look, I made my outro that acknowledges this. I did my part.
My shit.